My wife was unfaithful, and that's not what today's story is really about. It's a question. Am I the jerk for exposing my wife's unfaithfulness to her parents and embarrassing her in front of everyone? But guys, there's a little twist to the story. Let me tell you all about it. Hey everyone, I'm actually at a loss for words right now. And I need to know if I'm the one overreacting or if my feelings are justified. I've always been the kind of person who enjoys a good time and rarely takes anything too seriously. But sometimes life throws you these twists in life that make you reevaluate everything, you know? So, a little about us. I'm a 30-year-old guy, been married to my wonderful wife Jenna for about 5 years. We've always been super close and have faced a lot together. We've weathered storms that I feel would have broken most couples, but somehow we always emerge stronger on the other side. That's why what happened recently has left me so shaken. Every year we're invited to this massive Halloween bash by a close mutual friend. It's a tradition. We dress up, laugh with our buddies, and usually have a blast. We've been going for the past 4 years, and it's always been loads of fun. This year was no different. In the beginning, we put effort into our costumes. I was a zombie lumberjack, and Jenna was a fairy, and trust me, she looked like an absolute dream. As the night progressed, I noticed Jenna was hitting the drinks harder than usual. I'm not one to monitor her drinking, and she usually knows her limit, but tonight was different. She was knocking them back fast, and before I knew it, she was unusually intoxicated. I thought maybe she was just letting loose because of work stress, so I didn't think much of it. However, things took a turn when she started acting very forward. I saw her cozying up to some of our male friends, laughing a bit too loud, and at one point even doing that thing where you touch the person's arm or leg while in deep conversation. Yeah, that thing. Now, Jenna's always been a bubbly person, and I've never threatened by her behavior ever. But this was totally on another level. She wasn't just being friendly, it was overly flirtatious. I tried not to be the jealous husband, and told myself maybe I was just reading into it too much. But it's hard to misinterpret your wife sitting on a male friend's lap, laughing with her arms wrapped around his neck. I could feel a mix of embarrassment and hurt boiling up inside me, but I held my tongue and I did not want to make a scene. Eventually the night wound down and it was time to leave. I had to practically carry Jenna to the car. She was that wasted. The ride home was silent. The weight of what happened was pressing down on me, but I could not bring it up because Jenna was too drunk. She mumbled some words here and there, but for the most part she was out of it. We reached home and I helped her inside, and she crashed into the bed. As I lay beside her, I had a mix of emotions. Hurt, confusion, anger, betrayal. It was really everything. It's weird how you can feel all these things and still not be able to express them, right? So here I am, showering and sharing this with you all. Am I overreacting? Was it really just a harmless fun, and am I just being too possessive? I really don't know anymore. I would love some feedback. I will update you soon. Update number 1. Hey again. I did not expect to be here so soon. It's been about a hell of a week. And I need some advice. I'm still processing everything that's happened, and I just can't shake this gut feeling. The days following the party, Jenna and I pretty much tiptoed around each other. It was the weird dance of silence and tangible tension. She'd throw herself into her work, coming home late and being distant when she was around. Every time I wanted to broach the topic, she would either be too tired or, quote, not in the mood to discuss it. Finally, 2 nights ago, I couldn't handle it anymore. The silence was deafening, so I decided to confront her. I took a deep breath and recounted everything I felt during the party. How her actions made me uncomfortable, the unease of seeing her so openly flirty, and the awkwardness of being the only one witnessing it all. At first, Jenna looked away, refusing to meet my eyes. Then she sighed heavily and said something I did not see coming. I felt different that night. I was trying to truly express myself. Jenna, I get that everyone has moments where they want to just let loose, But there's a line, and I felt like you crossed it that night. To this, Jenna's eyes snapped up to mine with a hint of defiance in them, and she said, I never get to truly express myself. You know why? It's because you never let me. I was, and still am, baffled by this. Wait, what? When have I ever stopped you from being yourself? I've always encouraged you to be you. Her response was an exasperated huff. You wouldn't get it. You're always so reserved while I feel trapped. I can't be my true self, and maybe, just maybe, that party was an example of me trying to get it out. This blindsided me. I always thought we had an open channel of communication, but this was like a bucket of ice water over my head. I sat there trying to form words, trying to understand where all this was coming from. I said to her, Jenna, I've always loved you for who you are, but this is not just about one night, is it? There's more to it, isn't there? I don't know. It's just everything has become so routine. It's the same old life every day. Maybe I'm just yearning for something more. The weight of her words settled between my ears. It was a lot to take in. I wanted to say something, anything to bridge the growing gap between us, but before I could, my phone rang. It was a work emergency, and I had no choice but to leave and deal with it. Trust me, it was the worst possible timing. I left our apartment that night with a heavy heart, and our conversation replayed in my head the entire time I was away. Every unspoken word, every lingering silence, it was taunting. Over the next couple of days, it became increasingly clear that Jenna was becoming more distant. She'd be up before I was, and gone by the time I woke up. At night, she'd either not come home or come back so late that I'd be asleep. Text messages went unanswered, and phone calls were brief. It felt like she was pulling away, and the more she did, the more she seemed to blame me for it. To add to this, a friend of mine mentioned seeing Jenna out with some people from the party. He said she seemed really into the moment, laughing, having a good time. When I asked him if she was acting like she did during the party, he hesitated before saying, not as much, but she was definitely the life of the party. I'm at a loss. I don't know how to approach this anymore. Is Jenna going through a personal crisis that I'm not understanding? I don't know what to do. But I'm going to talk to her soon about it. For everybody who reached out after my last post, thank you. Your words and advice mean a lot. Even if I'm still trying to figure everything out, once again, I turn to you all for a bit of clarity. I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill. What am I missing here? Update number 2. Hey guys, it's been 2 weeks since my last update. Well, things haven't exactly improved. Honestly, they've gotten a lot more complicated. I never expected that our lives would take such tumultuous turns. I'm feeling, a bit of heaviness in my heart, but I need to share this to get some clarity. A week after our last confrontation, I finally mustered up the courage to confront Jenna again. I laid everything I've been dealing and feeling, what I've heard from friends, and how distant she'd been. Jenna, I can't keep pretending everything is okay. People have been talking, and it's not just idle gossip. I'm hearing things about you being out with other people, acting in ways that aren't, well, you. She looked at me, eyes cold and distant, and she said, I'm just trying to figure myself out. Is that such a crime? She retorted, clearly defensive. Maybe if you gave me some space instead of smothering me with your insecurities, I would not feel so suffocated. Well, I was taken aback. I'm not trying to smother you. I just want you to understand what's happening, why you're pushing me away. We used to be so close, and now it feels like you're a complete stranger. She sighed and shook her head, her tone slightly different. I'm not pushing you away. I just need some time and space to figure things out. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But deep down, doubt gnawed at me. We ended the conversation with a silent agreement to give each other a bit of space, hoping that things would get better. But just a few days later, the silver of hope was crushed. At work, one of my coworkers, Ben, pulled me aside and said, Hey man, I saw Jenna at the mall the other day. She's with some guy, and they seemed close. Close? What do you mean by close?
They were holding hands, man, shopping together, laughing. I wouldn't have mentioned it, but after everything you've told me, I just thought you should have known, bro.
I was floored. This could not be happening, especially after we've just spoken about everything, and my heart was racing and my mind raced even faster. Was Jenna cheating? The thought was unbearable, and when I got home I confronted her for the third time. Jenna, people are seeing you out with somebody holding hands. After everything we talked about, how can you do this to me? He's just a friend. Why are you making such a big deal out of a friend? Why are you stalking me and prying into my personal life? You're the one who's broken our trust, not me. I was simply at a loss for words. Here I was, pouring out my feelings, my worries, and she's just turning it around on me. Wow, making me out to be the bad guy, and it was like some sort of surreal nightmare. Jenna, I'm not stalking you. People are just concerned, and they tell me things. Can't you see how this is affecting our relationship? She did not respond. Instead, she just walked away, leaving me standing there feeling more alone than ever. I could not handle it. The weight of everything that was happening, the accusations, the doubt, the betrayal, it was all too much. I packed a bag and left the house. My buddy Mike, who knew about the whole situation, offered to let me crash at his place, and I gratefully accepted. Lying on Mike's couch that night, I could not help but just reflect on how Jenna had acted and how we could have possibly reached this point. From the loving, inseparable couple that we used to be to this estranged, dysfunctional mess. I could not wrap my head around it. Jenna was putting me through an emotional and mental ringer, and I didn't know how much more I could take. So here I am, still at Mike's, feeling lost and broken. I just want to believe, Jenna, that everything points in a different direction. I never thought I'd be in this position, doubting Jenna. I mean, what do I even do now? How do I move forward? Update number 3. A week has passed since my last update. The days seem to blur together, to be honest, and with a mix of hurt, disbelief, and raw emotions mixed into one vial. For those of you following this mess, I must admit I've done something that may seem out of character. After that night at Mike's, I returned home early the next morning. The moment I entered the house, something felt off. It wasn't just the awkward silence or the tension in the air. It was more than that. As I made my way to the kitchen, I was met with a sight that left me in shock. Craft beer cans scattered around everywhere. Now, I know Jenna. She's never been into craft beer, and my mind raced. Could she have somebody over while I was gone? With a deep breath, I confronted Jenna and said, "What with the beer cans?" "I had someone over last night."
Who?
It's a guy from the mall."
What?
The room seemed to close on me, and that was it. This wasn't just some passing phase or Jenna finding herself. This was betrayal. I can't do this anymore, Jenna. I can't be in a marriage where trust is a one-way street. I want a divorce. The words hung heavy in the air, and Jenna looked taken back, as she just simply could not expect me to reach that point. I could see the surprise and panic in her eyes. But for me, there was no turning back. I felt broken on the inside, and she was causing it to, quote, "You've toyed with my emotion for the last time," I added with a tone firm. Well, without waiting for her response, I grabbed a few essentials and stormed out. The weight of everything hit me, but in my hurt and anger, an idea formed. One of revenge. And as ashamed as I am to admit it, I act that on impulse. That night, I called Jenna's parents, and they've always been fond of me, seeing me as the son that they never had. It wasn't easy recounting everything to them, from Jenna's changed behavior to the undeniable evidence of her infidelity. There was gasp of disbelief and murmurs of shock as I narrated the painful events of the past week, and I quote you this, "I never imagined Jenna would do something like this," her mom whispered, with her voice full of sadness, and I said neither did I. Not long after that call, my phone rang. Jenna's name was flashing right there on the caller ID. Taking a deep breath, I answered, with her voice furious. How dare you drag my parents into this? She spat out. I thought they deserved to know the truth. I shot back with my own anger rising to the surface. Don't you think you've done enough damage? What do you have to ruin everything for? Jenna cried out with her voice breaking. Jenna, you ruined this, not me. And just so you know, I'll be contacting a lawyer about the divorce. There was a long pause before Jenna whispered, Fine, and she hung up the phone. Here I am, sitting in a hotel room filled with a mix of pain, anger, and regret. Part of me satisfied that Jenna's actions are out in the open, but another part wonders if I went too far. Telling her parents was a low blow, but I felt they needed to know the truth. Still, the thought of ending our marriage, a bond that was once cherished, is soul-crushing. Did I make the right call? Am I the a-hole for seeking revenge in the midst of my pain? Update number 4. Well, folks, it's been a heck of a month. From nights where I barely slept to mornings that felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on my chest, the range of emotions has not ceased. But as I sit here typing this out, I want to share where things stand now. The papers have been signed and the divorce is final. Jenna and I no longer share the home that once resonated with our shared dream, aspirations, and the love we thought would last a lifetime. The days following my last update saw Jenna's behavior deteriorate even further. It was clear that she was struggling, that much I could tell. Her nights out increased, and every time I bumped into our mutual friends or acquaintances, I'd hear stories of her drunken escapades to see pitying glances thrown my way. The biggest shock came when I learned that Jenna's parents had refused to let her move back in with him. I'd always had the sense that they held these traditional values to their heart, but the full extent of their disapproval of Jenna's actions became painfully evident. There were whispers in our circle about how Jenna was spiraling, losing job opportunities and distancing herself from those who cared about her. A part of me, the part that'll always remember the good times and the love we shared, hurt for her. But if I'm honest, a more significant part of me believes she brought this upon herself. Throughout this ordeal, I've asked myself over and over again, did Jenna ever truly love me? It's a painful question, and I may never get a clear answer to it. Life has changed drastically for me, too. Adjusting to a life without Jenna by my side, without the routines that we had and the routines that we shared and the memories has been a challenge. But every day I'm reminded that leaving was the right decision. I could not and should not have stayed in a marriage where I was constantly second-guessing my partner's loyalty or sincerity. That's no way to live. Many have asked me if I regret calling Jenna's parents that fateful night. The honest answer? No, I don't. I wanted them to know the truth. And while it might have accelerated Jenna's downward spiral, it was essential that they heard it from me. I needed them to understand my side, my pain, and the reason I could not continue in a loveless marriage filled with betrayal. The Jenna I once knew, the woman I fell deeply in love with, was long gone. And in her place was a stranger with whom I have no desire to share my life with. Today, I'm in a healing phase, rediscovering who I am outside of the relationship. I've taken up new hobbies, reconnected with old friends, and I'm making an effort to prioritize my mental health and well-being. Every day brings its own challenges, but also its small victories. And with time, I hope to move past this chapter of my life entirely. To all those who've supported me through this journey, shared their experiences, or offered their perspective, thank you. Your words of wisdom and encouragement have been invaluable during my darkest hours. Given everything that's transpired, I want to ask you, am I the jerk for how I handled the situation? Comments from the original post and updates. Comment number 1. Dude, totally not the a-hole. Relationships these days are hard enough without your significant other going behind your back like that. While it sucks for Jenna that things spiraled, it sounds like she made her choices. Telling her parents might have been a bit extra, but honestly, in the heat of the moment, we've all done things out of anger and frustration. Keep your head up and focus on you. Comment number 2. I mean, Jenna definitely should not have done what she did, but you both kinda messed up here. The whole situation reeks of two people trying to keep a dead relationship alive. And yeah, it's heartbreaking when your love changes or fades, but both of you owed it to each other to communicate better and be upfront about your feelings. You both messed up. Everybody sucks here. Comments. Number 3. Honestly, I get the pain and betrayal, but why involve her parents? It's kind of a petty move. It's one thing to want them to know your side of the story, but another to throw somebody under the bus when they're already down. You're the a-hole for that. Sometimes it's better to take the high road and walk away without airing all the dirty laundry. Final comment. I've seen relationships go through the ringer, and from what you've described, you're not the a-hole. Infidelity and betrayal cut deep, and everybody has a breaking point. You were pushed to yours. Reaching out to her parents might not have been the classiest move, but I definitely get it. At this stage of life, you deserve peace and happiness. Best to move forward and heal. Okay guys, so we just read a lot of perspectives, and in my opinion, I have to say that OP is not the a-hole. Yeah, you can argue that OP took it to a petty level, didn't have to involve the parents, didn't have to expose like that, but come on, Jenna had this coming. Well, what she did was bad, it was wrong, it was toxic, and yes, like I said, you could say it was a little over the top for OP, so maybe I could consider an everybody sucks here, but overall, I would have to choose OP is not the a-hole. If you guys feel differently or if you feel the same, let me know your thoughts behind it in the comment section down below, especially if you believe OP is the a-hole. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you for joining me for today's revenge story, and if you guys are new to the channel, just know that I drop a revenge story every single day. So make sure you're subscribed to the Revenge channel